How do you find it in Cahul? And if you like it, what do you like the most?
Well, it's beautiful from any aspect. I like this bizarre feeling of everything being a little bit retro, which I found to be fascinating. But also I like that there is a spirit of happiness around. Yeah. They are very nice people, very busy, and even though the Moldovans, even though they don't look extrovert, actually it's just about a matter of getting closer to them, and then they open up, and you know they take you into a different world, which I found very fascinating in the very few days that I'm here. But yes, I think it's a very promising land. I have to say.
I could say, if speculating to extent or not, that Moldav's festival could be similar to Thessaloniki festival in a way that it's not happening in the capital, it's in the peripheral city. What do you think, by having the experience of these two festivals, is the key success to having these kind of festivals in a non-central city?
I think it's important for smaller cities to host events like that, because there are no distractions, there are less distraction, and there are not many events happening in smaller cities. Therefore, the attention is attracted more easily. So those events attract more attention more easily, in a sense, and also it makes things more convenient in practical terms. So, for example, in Thessaloniki, pretty much everything is within walking distance, which I saw here as well. And there are many beautiful places to go and visit, and without getting stressed about getting lost, without getting stressed about missing a screening, without being late for events and so on. But also it's very important for the development of smaller cities. So the festival in Thessaloniki practically put Thessaloniki in the cinematic map of the world. So it's good for the city itself, it's good for the festival because the festival grew through the city, and vice versa. So it is very important to bear in mind that a city like Thessaloniki now has a cinematic history that is very important, and that can happen to Cahul as well.
Another question related to that, speaking about small cities and the way that culture in a more general way, and documentary film festivals in a particular way, can improve the situation of the small cities. How do you feel, or how do you see the role of the culture nowadays in this capitalist world where all that matters is economic profit? Is there any place left for culture? Or what is the relationship?
There can't be any economic profit if there is no culture behind it. That's the way I think. If you want people to, well, the base of capitalism is for people to consume. There has to be a product, and in order to be able to produce, you have to have education as well. Part of that education is, of course, culture. And the wider the culture, the wider the education. Therefore, culture is part of the economical growth. Yeah. So it's not worth doing anything, really, if culture is not behind everything.
You mentioned earlier that you discovered some kind of a different world here in Cahul during the last few days. If you could imagine yourself being a filmmaker from Moldova, having this very small encounter with this context and with these people, what would be the topic that you would choose out for making a documentary project?
I don't know, that's very difficult to say, really, because I realize from what I saw so far, and from talking to other filmmakers and from seeing the projects, I realized that there are many topics, and that's a treasure for the territory, and that's a treasure for the young filmmakers. So I can't really say whether I can, I'm in no position to choose a topic. But I'm quite reassured by knowing that there are so many topics to choose from, and that is great, because this is a corner of Europe where the rest of Europe doesn't necessarily have visual and cultural access to. So there are so many topics out there to pick and bring out to the rest of the world. So I would be very confident and very ambitious about what I do if I was a young Moldovan filmmaker.
Having also in mind the experience of today of the pitch session that you were judge in?
Yes.
What would be your advice for the young filmmakers that you've seen during these days, but also that you didn't manage to see, but are in a way undercut?
I think I saw this quality to everyone, and I would say to everyone to be as extrovert as possible, to turn their eyes out to the world, and to try and network as much as possible, and to go out to see other festivals, and to try and develop a circuit of people, of services, of funding platforms, etc., that will help them to develop their own work. So go out and look for networking and co-productions, producers, people that will help, funding platforms, etc.